Okay. Rick, so wonderful to have the chance to meet with you today. How's it going? How are you holding up?
I'm doing good. It's Groundhog Day in the world, and
Yeah,
thank God for Zoom, and thank God that, we as human beings can figure out how to survive anything and augment. And I think that's a tribute to what I think I loved about doing this movie. This
yeah.
movie's about that. It's about us as a humanity and how will we come together when it's life and death, and what are people capable of.
I was going to say that, first of all, you've been probably eavesdropping in my conversations because I've been talking about this for the last few days about how we have managed to adapt and make things work. And yes, it ties in beautifully with this movie because, yes, it's a full up, disaster action film, but at the core, it's really about how humans, how we react to each other in times of crisis, whatever. I found that so fascinating to watch the people who were scared and nervous and what they did, and then the people who opened their arms. How that had to have been extremely important to you to meld into this film.
Yeah, when I first read Chris Farling's script, I fell in love with it because, one, it wasn't your normal kind of disaster movie. It was very much from the inside out. It was a very intimate point of view from this family trying to survive something that's life or death. And so it, by its own design, gave you two monsters in the movie. It gave you the obvious one of Clark, but the other one is humanity. It's interesting to shoot a movie pre-COVID and pre-pandemic and not know anything about that, and you're come up with these hypothetical situations. Where will good people do very bad things out of desperation? Will bad people do good things? And how would we deal with family members that we can't help, or neighbors that we've grown up with and kids have grown up with? Would we be able to help them or not? And
exactly,
I love that about it. I love that it was about us, and then you see suddenly a lot of this come true in the pandemic, and hypothetical things suddenly become reality, and it becomes surreal is what it does. It really kind of changed a lot of things for us. But then when you sit back and watch the movie again, it really put a smile on my face, because it's really what I fell in love with at the beginning. Was the movie was really a love story. It was a love story about a couple that had lost their way and had lost that spark, and were on the precipice of losing it all and thinking they have all the time in the world to fix it. And then this thing comes around and takes time away and forces them to knock the rust away. And I thought that was a really beautiful message of what's going on today in this divisive world where we're not seeing one another anymore, and just forgetting we're going to need each other in the end. We're going to have to all pull together.
That is absolutely for sure. Obviously, look, you've worked with Gerard Butler before. Whenever I see, starring Gerard Butler, I watch that movie. I've been a long time. We go way, way back. I've interviewed him for almost every film that he's made. He's such a lovely man. And we know that can he just do action and this kind of stuff, but he has such humanity. He's such a good person. Was that why you decided, he's perfect for this role?
Yeah, because the thing why I think, I'll speak for you for a second, because I'm also a fan of him, is I think why Jerry has such a legacy and a fan base is because he's the real deal. He's not a fake. He's a very grounded and sincere human being, extremely funny, very human with people, does not have an ego. And I think that comes across in his work, that he's not afraid to show vulnerabilities. And we changed the Has Fallen franchise with Angel Has Fallen on that notion of making Mike somebody dealing with the struggles of life that we deal with real hardships. And it was fun to come into the skin of John Garrity, where there was no special skill set.
That's
it
right.
was all about heart, and it was all about your own moral compass of what you think is right and wrong. And the fact that if it was life or death, would you have the ability to protect yourself to the death? And if you did, what would be the fallout of that? What would be the emotional stakes about that? And so I thought it was a really interesting way to kind of take the desensitization of somebody like a Secret Service agent or these other action heroes that he's played, and knock all that away and make him very sensitive as a normal human being that has probably not really been in a fist fight before.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you throw this kid into the mix, Roger Doyle Floyd, that's his name. He's great. Like, he was, what you put that kid through. Holy mackerel. He really helped.
It was Morena. I told her, I said, don't put the kid in those situations, but Morena just wouldn't listen to me.
Come on. No, but first of all, I'm a mom, so I could completely relate, but
It's all Marina. I didn't do any of it. The interesting thing is it's actually the opposite of what I'm saying, because it was Marina that really helped me, because Will Rogers very gifted, but he's a 7-year-old boy. He's not one of these like 11 or 12-year-olds that looks 7 and has a little bit more of a worldview. He truly was 7 years old when we
yeah,
shot with him, and he's such an extraordinarily talented kid, but he's playing very adult themes and very dangerous things. And
exactly.
it was Jerry and Morena that were really great dance partners for me to make sure that it was very real in front of the camera. But when we yelled cut, that he understood that it wasn't real and that we're doing something here that's work, and that there's a way to him to be a kid. I'm very protective of children on set, and to make sure that they don't get lost in, unfortunately, the way I see kids get lost when everybody's catering to them and coddling them.
Yeah.
And they lose that sense of reality. It was about keeping him grounded. Marina was all over that.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch the relationship between her and her son. And I don't want to give anything away, but there were moments in that movie where I was like, yeah, the car scene, you had me like,
not fun to shoot as a parent.
No, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine that, seriously. No. But it just shows, you, like I said earlier, humanity. Everybody has different ways of coping. And
I'll tell you one quick story, Bonnie, about that. Is the very first week that we shot, we were in Marietta, Georgia, in a real neighborhood on a real cul-de-sac where the Garrity home was. And the families in that neighborhood, in that cul-de-sac, were so gracious to us. And the first week, they didn't really know what we were doing because we were inside the house. And then on day 3, we started the scene where the Garritys are trying to leave, and they're forced with this decision whether they take the neighbor's little girl or not.
Right. Oh.
And the first take that we did was all in one, all the way through, and the tears and the crying. And when we cut, my first AD, KC, came up to me and said, "Look up the street," and all of the real families were in tears, crying, watching it. And you kind of knew that this movie was about that. It was about that we could all relate to it, because it very well could be us. Like these are real situations.
Oh, no question about it. And then I love that you threw Scott Glenn in there. He doesn't have a huge role, but it's a very poignant role. And, to have his presence on set, come on.
I mean, you kidding? Jokingly, I have said I've been very blessed to work with all the old farts as of late. I had Morgan Freeman and Nick Nolte on the last one, and beautiful human beings. And Scott Glenn, I talk to Scott all the time. What an amazing human being. I mean, I want to be 80 years old and have guns like that someday. Let me tell you, I don't think it's ever going to happen, but he walks around, and man, it, like and just gracious. And when you see people like this in the business, that resumes are so dense and so deep, and yet they don't phone it in. They still really care about what they do, and they're very passionate about it and gracious to people around them. It's been a blessing to work. I love working with the great.
That's the old guard, though, right? They're all like that.
Yeah.
Don't you find?
It is.
Yeah.
I do.
The younger ones that have the attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I find the majority of them. I worked with Sam Shepard, God bless his soul, and it was the same experience.
Yeah, it is truly amazing. And quickly, I want to ask you, but did you do some research about comets? Like, did you really look into that to see how they could affect us on Earth?
I did. I think that the thing that's always important to remember is that I'm, as a filmmaker, is that I'm not making a documentary.
No, for sure.
So I'm trying to find as much factual basis as I can for authenticity, that I can create cinematic license. And one of the things that we found out was that comets and meteors and asteroids will break apart a lot of the times because they'll hit other debris in outer space, and they'll create a belt of fragments. And that was something that we incorporated in the movie that I loved, because I didn't want the audience to wait 90 minutes for the big one to hit.
For sure.
I wanted to have a monster that can hit them in any God-given moment, and give you that sense of fear and that thrill ride that you wanted. So there was things that we found out in the real world settings that really helped us to create more of a visceral experience. And on the I know we're out on digital now and on Blu-ray December or February 9th. We've got a couple deleted scenes that are really interesting, because they really have some moments with Scott Glenn and Andrew Batchelor, and some different pieces that I think are really interesting about for people to watch.
Very cool. I look forward to that. And quickly, do you have I understand you might have some more projects with Mr. Butler coming up.
Yeah, I've duct taped him, and I keep him over here in the corner, and I let him.
Wait, where is he? Where is he?
let him know when he goes. He can't talk. He does tape.
He's got the duct tape.
Yeah. But no, we're gonna go do Kandahar next. We're very excited about it. It's a really cool, different portrayal of the movie set in the Middle East, and really shows the humanity of the region and the effects of war, and what people go through, in the spy world. And we are talking about another Has Fallen, Night Has Fallen, that will come down the pipe, and it's been fun. We're trying to really have a cool body of work together. It's great when you find chemistry with somebody, and you not only have chemistry with them as professionally, but personally as well, that they're a true pleasure to be around, and they're a good human being, and it doesn't get better than Gerard Butler.
Yeah, well, I know he doesn't want this, but I want him to sing again on screen. So could you please maybe, start thinking about a musical with Gerard Butler again? Because I want.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep that duct tape.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Best of luck with the film and everything on DVD and digital, and a pleasure to have a chance to talk to you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, love.
Bye-bye. Bye.